please introduce yourself and tell me a little about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Nick Duckart. I am with the North American touring company of Come From Away. I play Kevin J, Ali, and others. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, but I live in New York City now. And I've been a professional actor since 2009. And yeah, Come From Away has kind of been like the crowning achievement, if you will, in my acting career. It's been my big break, and it's been the most rewarding experience thus far.
How did you first hear about Come From Away?
So I first heard about Come From Away because my dear friend Caesar Samayoa plays Kevin J on Broadway. Kevin J and others on Broadway. And he and I were doing another show. This is before Come From Away opened on Broadway. And he had been in the workshops of Come From Away. And he was telling me about this incredible show that he was working on. He's like, I think this is going to like be a smash hit. It's so good and so special. And I was like, well, when it comes to Broadway, you gotta let me know. I want to come see it. And sure enough, he told me, he's like, well, this is the show I was talking about. So I went to go see him in it. And I was blown away. You know, I just like so many audiences around the world. I was so moved by the performances and by the story itself. This was a 9/11 story that I never heard of before. So just to kind of have this 90 to 100-minute example of human kindness was just so special. And the fact that one of my dear friends was a part of it made it even more special.
What do you remember about your audition?
The audition was fun. You know, I got to say, I don't like auditioning as an actor. I don't like it. I get anxious and insecure. You have to forgive me. If you see my arm doing this, my dog is playing tug with me right now. But no, the audition process was a lot of fun. It was pretty short. I just did like I auditioned for the creative team, and then I auditioned for the producers with the creative team. And then we had a dance callback, you know, to do Heave Away. For those of you who know the show, that was the dance audition. It was really fun. I left the whole process saying, even if I don't get this job, which I hope I do, but if I don't, this was probably the most positive audition processes too, because the creative team and the producers are all just such incredibly kind, lovely people. So the energy in the audition room was nothing but positive. Everybody was so kind, and you know, they wanted everybody to do well, and you could feel that in the room. So it was a blast. I had a great time.
Did seeing the show before the audition affect your performance?
Did seeing the show before my audition affect my performance?
Yeah, because you saw how Caesar portrayed his character already.
Yeah, you know, I mean, not really, because one thing that Christopher Ashley, or the director, said was, you know, we hired you because you have the essence of these people, and you can bring your own sensibility to it. So it was great to feel like we were supported in that way, and we had the opportunity to just bring ourselves into these roles. And it was a blast. And what's so great about the show too is that it's so beautifully written that the groundwork is there. I mean, you get a sense of these characters just by reading the play. So it kind of was a perfect kind of roadmap for me as an actor to be able to say, okay, like these are the things we need to touch, but I'm going to bring my own sensitivity or my own sensibility to it. So it was kind of cool to have that sort of vote of confidence in us.
Mr. Duckart, what was it like to learn choreography?
The choreography. I love you know that word. It's the choreography. It's I mean, I think you can ask any performer in the Come From Away family what the hardest part of putting the show together is, and it is the choreography. The choreography is very, very challenging. You know, there were certain days in the rehearsal room where I think all the actors rehearsing the show kind of looked at each other, and we were like, I don't know if we're gonna get this. Like this is hard. This is really hard. And you know, it's funny because when we started rehearsals, one of the things that we were told was, you know, before the first day of rehearsal, you have to be completely memorized. And we were like, well, that's strange. That's not usually the case. But I thought, well, I guess it makes sense because we have to learn this stuff. And sure enough, when we got into the rehearsal room, we were like, oh, this is why they wanted us to be memorized, because there's no way for us to hold our scripts. We're constantly moving chairs around. And it was so important that we had it in our heads already. But it is, yeah, it's hands down the hardest part. But I will never forget when we were in rehearsal, and there's the big chair move. The first one is when you get from the standard kind of layout to the first plane, and that is the most intricate move. And I think every time we've done a run through of the show for other Come From Away cast members from other, like Broadway company or Toronto, whoever's going to see it, they always like applaud for us after that first move because it's so intricate and there's like no time to get it done. So when we get it right, everybody's just really happy for each other. But as you know, as so many Come From Away fans know, that intricacy and that choreography is what makes the show. It's one of the things that makes the show so special, because just by moving chairs around, we are in completely different places, and it's magical when it's done right.
And what helped you to remember which chair is yours? I know that some actors give them like
Ooh,
or
it's tough. For me, it's more because every chair has a number in our heads, like when we're rehearsing it. For me, it's more just like I need, every chair looks different, which helps. So for me, it's more just like, okay, I know I have to get the chair that has the pink back on it this time. I know I need to get the chair that has the brown back this time. So those sorts of things are what help me. Like now I've gotten to the point where if you say, Nick, you have to get chair 9, I would be like, I don't remember which one that one is. You have to tell me what it looks like instead. But it's also just repetition. It's the same thing, just like learning any sort of choreography or learning lyrics to a song. Even, any non-performers, when they listen to like their favorite song on the radio and they remember it, it's just repetition. You do it enough times over and over and over again, and you start to remember it.
You have played so many ethnically diverse roles. What was it like to play Kevin J and Ali in Come From Away?
It was great. I mean, listen, one thing that I love about our show, about Come From Away, is that we as actors, you can cast it as diverse as you want, and you can make it however you want, because we are representatives of 17,000 stories around Gander. So to be able to play Kevin J and Ali, particularly Ali, I take a lot of responsibility in doing justice to this particular character's story, because the Muslim experience around 9/11 is a very complicated, very sensitive topic that that deserves to be told with integrity. And I take great pride in being able to tell that story every night. And for me, it was very special because on a personal level, one of my childhood friends growing up, one of my best friends growing up, was a Pakistani Muslim, a teenager. He was a teenager when 9/11 happened, as was I. And he went from being one of the most popular kids in school because he was such a lovely person, to then now becoming like public enemy #1 in the school just because of what happened on 9/11, even though he had nothing to do with it, And so when I portray Ali, I remember what it was like watching him go through this, and how confused he was, and he couldn't understand why people were looking at him funny, and why people were mad at him when he had nothing to do with it. And so, yeah, this particular story, and because it's based on real life people, as opposed to fictional characters that are written for the stage, I carry a lot of pride, and I just want to do it justice every night. So I'm honored. I'm honored to tell these stories.
How do you manage to switch accents? Like, how do you do that?
Listen, it takes a lot of work, and it's one of those things where we have an incredible dialect coach, Joe Goldies, who you've interviewed, I believe. He's incredible at his job, and what's really great about the show and the way it's structured is it moves very quickly, but the scene work happens in a way where you're given a slight break before you have to change characters, and very much like the choreography, once you get enough repetition in, and once I know, like, okay, if I'm putting on my denim jacket, I'm Dwight here, I take it off, I'm Kevin J, getting to kind of shift your mindset trains the brain into saying, okay, this is when I have to use this dialect that I've been working on. And you can ask every person who's ever done Come From Away, including the original Broadway cast, who's been with the show since the very beginning. It's never perfect. The dialects are never perfect. It is something that Joel continues to work with us on. because we need it. We need to hear refreshers because these sorts of dialects. Particularly the Newfoundland dialect. It's this kind of hybrid of like Canadian and Irish and European. It's like this weird combination of dialects that is so foreign to a lot of us. Um, but yeah, with practice and we constant work with Joel, it's getting easier as time goes on.
Mr. Duckart, what are the pros and cons of working on the road for so long?
That's a great question. The biggest pro, well, there's two big pros for me personally. One, I get to travel North America, and I grew up in a suburb of Miami called Hialeah, where the sort of cultural expectation growing up was, well, you're born in Hialeah, you're going to work in Hialeah, and then you're going to die in Hialeah. That's just the way it works. So for me, as a kid who kind of like took the chance to break free from that and say, well, I'm going to create my own path because that's what I want to do with my life, to be able to be given this opportunity to go explore North America and go like hiking in the mountains of Vancouver and go to Montreal and have French food and go to all these things that like I never thought in my life I would ever get to experience. It's incredible. And I get to share that experience oftentimes with my wife and my dog, and so it's a very special. That's very special, and also getting to tell the story across North America is very special because we get to meet people after the show who have a cathartic experience and they want to share their 9/11 story with us, and it's very, very special. That's something that's absolutely priceless for me. The hardest part is just being away from our families. We don't get to sleep in our own beds. We have to sleep in hotels or Airbnbs, and then we travel every Monday, so we're either on a plane or a bus. So that gets tiring on the body, and none of us are 20-year-olds straight out of college. We're getting older, and it gets harder on the body. And then you miss life experiences. That's my dog Lucy. You miss life experiences. Lucy, say hi. You miss life things like birthdays and graduations and things like that. Sorry, she likes to kiss. So that's the hard part, is you miss life events. But it makes it worth it when you get to work on a show like Come From Away.
What was your longest stretch without a day off? And I don't mean like traveling to another venue. That doesn't count as a day off.
Yeah, that doesn't count as a day off. Oh man. We had a stretch in our tour that I believe was like 13 straight 1 week engagements. So to your point, that Monday, which is technically our day off, is a travel day. So it's not really a day off because we're up at 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning to get on a bus to then get to the plane, to then fly to the city, to then get in, maybe get something to eat and go to bed, and then wake up and go do the show the next day. So that was like a 13-week like consecutive stretch. That was one of those bits where I think we were all exhausted. And then finally, when we had like a true day off, it felt incredible to have that day off.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, it was something like that. I mean, I may be wrong, but that number is sticking in my head. It was definitely more than 10 weeks. But I don't remember if it was like 13 or 12 or 15. It was something like that. I'm going to say 13 just to be safe. But I just remember when we got the initial schedule, we looked at that stretch and we were like, holy crap, this is going to be very tiring. And it was very tiring.
It was probably so strange to adjust from working nonstop to not working at all because of the COVID-19.
Yeah, it was. Well, especially because we were in Dallas, Texas when the tour shut down, and we had been hearing rumblings, and we saw that we were watching the news clearly about what was going on. And then once Broadway shut down, there was a sense of like, okay, wait a minute, I wonder what's going to go on with us, because we're not technically in New York, but public venues are closing. So yeah, it just like literally we had a meeting in the morning. We did the show that night, and then there weren't that many people in the audience, which was very strange for our tour. And we got the notice later that evening that we were shut down. and it was just like that. We were packing our bags, and we kept asking company management, like, how long should we pack for? Are we going to be back? What's going on? And yeah, they said, well, just pack for like a month. We think like a month is probably going to be fine. And here we are, over a year later. But none of us could have planned for this. It was so completely unexpected. And I will say that it makes me feel optimistic knowing that our tour will be back. We have dates already. We have a rehearsal date and everything. So it's going to be really, really special to kind of get back to work and be reunited with the family.
Mr. Duckart, what do you miss the most about Come From Away?
What I miss the most? So much. I want to say everything, but because that's the answer. But certain things I miss. I miss the ensemble. I miss working together on a stage with my 11 fellow principals and the 6 standbys off stage. I miss the sound of the bowron at the very top of the show, that boom, 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 that just that like that makes your heartbeat go, and it serves as like the perfect gasoline for the car to go, things like that. I miss the sound of the audience at the end of the show. I miss meeting fans at the stage door and hearing their 9/11 stories, and I miss getting to share these incredible life experiences with these incredible human beings, because the entire company of the tour is just, they are beautiful, beautiful souls. And I just miss sharing that experience with them.
Actors in other companies of Come From Away have special rituals before the show. Like they have the flags, or there's the handing. Do you do anything like that from Tom?
We do something. So we all have our own individual things, right? Like we all have individual rituals that we do. And like, I do my vocal warm-ups, and I do physical warm-ups and things like that. But the one thing that we all do as an ensemble is before we go on stage, we all get in a circle and we put our hands in the middle of the circle, and we just go, "We are here," and we say "woo," and then we go into our audience, into our crowds, into our wings, rather. Sorry. It's just special. It's a good moment for us to be united and to touch base with each other, because we're about to do something very, very special together.
What's your favorite Come From Away mishap?
My favorite Come From Away mishap? Oh, there's a lot. I'm not going to throw there. I have favorite mishaps of other actors in the show, but I'm not going to throw them under the bus. But some of them are very, very good. But one of my favorite ones was, okay, this is my favorite story. So when we were in Ottawa in Canada, there for the past couple of days, we had been hearing that there was like a bat infestation in the theater, and like actual bats. And we were kind of like, oh, I haven't seen them yet. So then one performance, we go on stage and I sit in the chair, and we're doing the boom, 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 boom. And then Claude is doing on the northeast tip of North America, he's doing his whole bit. And then the audience is, everybody's whispering and talking. And in my mind, I'm thinking, man, these people are so rude. Shut up. The show's starting already, And then I kind of look out of the corner of my eye, and I just see bats flying, right? All through the audience. There's tons of them. And I'm like, oh my God, there's bats. Okay. And then sure enough, there's this the welcome to the rock. And then we start doing that. And then all of a sudden I see a bat coming right for my face. And then I just gotta go, huh! Like in character, I dodge it. And then I hear my cast members going, ah! They all scream. And then the audience collectively starts screaming and starts laughing, because I kind of did one of these to avoid the bat. But normally I would have been pretty cool about it. But he was the bat was coming literally right for my eyes, That's my favorite story, because I've never experienced anything like, I've gotten up on lines or messed up lines, and that stuff is normal, but almost getting hit in the face by a bat was something I've never experienced before.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
How did you even manage to perform after this encounter?
I think it's one of those. Sorry, I threw a toy. I think it's just one of those things. We as an ensemble and the audience were just laughing with each other, and we just kind of knew, like, okay, like this happened. What else is there to say? It happened, and we all saw it together. and we just kept going.
Is there anything you would like to talk about?
Oh, I just want to say to anybody who's watching this, who's been a loyal fan of Come From Away, since the beginning, thank you for supporting the show, whether it be the Broadway company, Toronto company, Australian company, the tour, the UK, whoever. Thank you all so much for continuing to support the show. And for those of you who are watching who know that the tour is coming, just get excited because we'll be back, and we're going to get to tell the story again, and just know that as excited as you are to watch the show again, we're just as excited to do it for you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duckart. It was such
No
a
problem.
for you.
Likewise, thank you for taking the time and for asking me to do this. This is so cool.
Thank you.
All right, bye. Thanks so much.